G'day there guys, in your opinion, how much Markee is too much Markee, and is that a problem? It's your main man Markee and welcome back to the Markee channel. I hope you enjoy your stay, I want you to sit back, relax, chuck a prawn on the barbie, enjoy today's bloody good Am I the A-hole stories, and have a bloody good time. Thank you. Posted by user Throwaway Wow Foodman. Titled, Am I the a-hole for leaving my wife outside without keys while I played World of Warcraft? Okay, I realize the title sounds awful, but I think context is super important here. I play World of Warcraft Classic, and in this game, you get a group of 40 people together to kill bosses in a joint effort, and when the bosses die, they drop items that your characters can use. It's called raiding. Each boss can only be killed once a week, so once a week, my guild and I get together to raid. An aspect of World of Warcraft Classic is something called world buffs. These are stat increases you can get for your character in order to make them do more damage, have more health, regenerate more mana, etc. And they're a real bear to get. They occur all over the very large game world on set schedules and at very specific times. For example, one of the buffs is on a 7-ish hour cooldown and can only be given when one person turns in the head of a slain dragon, and this can only be done once per character. Coordinating world buffs is so intense and ridiculous, there are entire Discord servers that exist simply to let people know when they are going to happen. What this means is that, in order to prepare for a raid, I have to spend a significant amount of time collecting these buffs for my character, and our raid leader, the guy in charge, requires them in order to get an invitation to the raid. Oh, and if you die, that's it. You lose them. On to what happened. My wife and I live in a major city and had ordered food delivery. Our building is small, only one other unit, and it has a vestibule of the kind where if a door closes behind you, it locks. Typically, when we order delivery and the doorbell rings, I go downstairs to collect the food. But on the night in question, we were preparing for a particularly difficult boss encounter. They last 5 to 7 minutes, and if you don't do the mechanics properly, you'll die and lose the buffs, and potentially cause all 39 other players to die too. So right as we start the encounter, the doorbell rings, and she goes downstairs to get the food. As she was leaving, I told her to not forget her keys, but she did. So, after collecting the food, she was stuck in the vestibule with no way back into the apartment. Here is where I might be the a-hole. This happens occasionally, hence why I told her to not forget her keys. When it does, my wife rings the doorbell in order to let me know she's stuck. On this occasion, when the doorbell rang, I ignored it until the boss encounter was over, perhaps 5 minutes or so. She was really upset and told me I was a huge a-hole and that I was choosing video games over her, but she also knows that there is a huge time investment leading up to that 5-minute encounter. It's not like she was unsafe. The front door was locked and it wasn't cold in there. She just had to wait 5 minutes and then I went to go and get her. So Reddit, am I the a-hole? Edit. Well, this looks to be a tremendously controversial topic. I want to address some of the common questions. Why did you spend so much time talking about the game and not your wife? This is not a signal that I don't love my wife or that I think the game is more important than her. I believed, and still believe, that the context of the situation is important here. If you aren't going to read through that explanation and snap judge me, you can F right off. Have you ever thought about this before? No, not once. How much time do you spend playing the game outside of the raids? Raid times are 2 to 3 hours once a week, and I probably play another 5 or so hours during the week to prepare materials, get the buffs I talked about, etc. All of this usually happens when she's doing her own hobby. Was she unsafe and uncomfortable? Not in the least. The vestibule is climate controlled, and we know the other couple who live here. The front door was locked from the outside, and she could have gone outside if she needed to. And this is how she used the doorbell. And she doesn't get claustrophobic or anxious. Why couldn't you just hit your buzzer to let her back in? Our building doesn't have a buzzer. This is why she had to go downstairs in the first place. I would have had to go down both flights of stairs to get her, then back up, which would 100% have caused me to die, and maybe others. I think depending on your situation and how you've lived your life up into this point, you could either be a not the a-hole or you're the a-hole type. I think there is quite a good reason that WoW gets the backlash that it does, because it does become all-consuming for a lot of people and causes problems in relationships like this. For this one instance, if it's the only time that it's ever happened and will happen again, I can see a not the a-hole judgment happening. She agreed to this and she understands that it won't take that long. But the way you phrased it, it seems like there's more going on under the surface and you're trying to throw as much on top with these edits and get us to, agree with you here. WoW does become an addiction, and it's an addiction to the game, and it's an addiction to the community, and that community continually sucks you in and pushes you away, and, throws you through a roller coaster. Unfortunately, because I do have a feeling that this is the tip of the iceberg in events and feelings and your relationship, I'm going to have to go with you're the a-hole, because you had to justify yourself so much, and if you were so sure of yourself, you wouldn't need to justify that much. So I'm gonna have to go with you're the a-hole. In the comments, Dreaming Potatoes says, "This particular episode is not so bad, but the fact that you take this game so seriously suggests that when your wife says you choose games over her, she might have a point. This particular episode might be the straw that broke the camel's back. You're the a-hole." I'm a former WoW widow. I didn't invent the phrase. It took a while to get my husband to realize that our family can't live our life around a video game. Because of the WoW widow mention, I would like to add that my father wasn't present in my life because he was always playing WoW. This still hurts me to this day, and every memory I have of him is him and that damned computer playing this god-forsaken game. And if you're half as dedicated a WoW player as he was, then your wife probably feels neglected, and this one incident was the one that pinched her last nerve. I had the same problem. All my dad ever did growing up was play WoW. I looked at the back of his head a lot. He doesn't play anymore because my mum threatened a divorce after almost 10 years of him gaming for hours a day. I can almost guarantee that this is a pattern for OP, and I wonder if the 5 minutes really was only 5 minutes. My dad had no concept of time when he was playing. As a former WoW addict, I can't think of any vanilla/classic bosses that can be downed in 5 minutes, even for a full max level, fully geared and buffed raiding party. Plus, there's usually some kind of dungeon that comes before the boss. You're the a-hole. So, out of curiosity, how long does it take a DoorDash driver to murder your wife in the vestibule? Asking for a friend. Is it more or less than 5 minutes? Edit. Good lord, y'all. I made a hyperbolic statement designed to illustrate that bad things can happen, and when someone asks for help, maybe you help them? I'm not saying she's guaranteed to get murdered, or taken advantage of, or that she can't defend herself. Who knows? Maybe there are bees out there. Maybe she's a ninja. Would it have made you feel better if I said there were werewolves? The bottom line is the same. The point is, she tried to get in, and he ignored her. I don't care who it is in my family, if they're trying to get into my house, I'm not going to make them sit out there while I do whatever. That's just rude. Maybe in your family you leave loved ones locked out. It just doesn't happen in my family. You do you. Or, even more likely, another guy in the building sees a woman trapped in there and lets her in. She complains her husband couldn't come down to get her because he's busy playing a video game. The guy says, "Wow, I'm sorry you have to deal with that. Well, I'm in 2B, and here's my number. Next time this happens, just call me. I'll be there for you." And you can see where it goes from there. If your partner is going to just go off with some random dude because she's had to wait 5 minutes, it's probably better to know so that you can get rid of her. Are you the kind to instantly try and get in the pants of any woman in distress that you see? I see it going from there that she remembers the keys next time or gets some kind of door lock. You're the a-hole, but not a big one. Look, I game too, and I understand that it doesn't always align with real life, but I feel this is going deeper than just this one time. As much as we all like to think that games aren't temporary, they mostly really are. And sure, games help to make friends all over the world, but it should never be more important than real people in your real life. Just like you said, you told her to take the keys with her because it's something that happens more often. That's not something you want to bring into and keep into your relationship. It's a breeding ground for bad memories. Believe me, you're really not going to miss raiding all that much. But if your partner is unhappy and you continue to ignore your partner might leave. And that's really going to make a lasting impact. You've got somebody to tackle this life with together, and that's really precious. I'm not saying gaming isn't fun or an enjoyable, possibly lasting experience, but you always got to keep in mind who and what is really important in your life. Posted by user Can't Be That Healthy. Titled, Am I the a-hole for making myself nice meals and not my husband? So I'll preface by saying me and my husband have vastly different tastes in basically everything. For the most part, it doesn't matter, but we clash heavily when it comes to food. Before we met, I basically never ate out, drank nothing but water and unsweet tea, with the occasional juice, and ate mostly vegetarian, always pretty healthy meals. When we started dating, I started eating out a lot more because that's what he always wanted to do, and I'm honestly easily influenced. I learned pretty quickly that he doesn't like anything that includes other than a variation of cheese, meat, and starch. Rice, bread, pasta, potatoes. Not a single vegetable other than corn. No dairy except butter, no fruits, no grains, nothing. He also hates a majority of seasonings. I ended up adapting my cooking to suit his tastes, occasionally making myself healthy sides, but it bothered him, so I mostly stopped. I tried to at least have healthy lunches or choose healthier options when eating out, which was still regularly. Eventually, we had a daughter, and now that she's getting old enough to eat with us, I'm pretty much done with how we eat. I don't like eating like this. I've gained weight and feel out of shape, my body feels awful, whatever. And I don't want our daughter to grow up not eating anything healthy and substantial. So I stopped agreeing to fast food and made him only get it for himself and started cooking nice meals again. Which he, of course, hates. I've begged him to at least try and find something remotely healthy he likes eating. Quite frankly, my food doesn't even taste healthy. Our friends and family rave about how delicious it is, even when it has the stuff they normally don't like in it. It really shouldn't be that hard, but he refuses, so I told him he can make his own meals if he doesn't like ours, that I'm tired of eating unhealthy all the time. He accepted it at first, but he's gradually been getting more upset about it. He says it's not fair that we have to have these nice meals and he's stuck eating crap. I told him he's free to join, and what he's making himself is literally the same things I'd make for him anyways, minus some fancier things, and that I'd be willing to still make some of the fancier ones, just not so often. But he says it's not the same, and he wants nice healthy meals like ours, and it's not fair that he's being excluded. I told him unless he's willing to let me add spices and vegetables to the meals, I literally can't make him nice healthy meals like ours. There's only so many ways you can make a meal with just meat and starch, and you can only make it so healthy. Now he's been pouting because he says it's not fair that he's the only one who doesn't get good food, and that I could at least try and include him, and I'm being an a-hole by not trying. I think he's being ridiculous to expect the same type of food we eat without me putting in literally any of the ingredients. Am I the a-hole? OP has offered the following explanation for why they think they might be the a-hole. I might be the a-hole because it probably feels like I'm rubbing in the fact that we're all eating nice meals while he eats his simple ones. I hate to be the negative Nancy here, OP, but why did you have a kid with this man? Did you not have a sinking feeling during this entire relationship where you're like, this could possibly go bad and he's not going to change his ways and I'm not happy eating like this forever? Yes, I'm an a-hole for saying the truth here, but this is what has happened in this situation, and I question why you didn't sit down with him and explain that this is what was going to happen, I'm not having a kid until we're clear on what the future holds. I understand that that isn't reality for a lot of people, and that's completely acceptable. I will read r/relationship posts to the day I die, where these things continue to happen. Some people escape and some don't. Anyway, moving on from that, the situation as it stands currently is very unhealthy in every way, physically, mentally, emotionally. If he can't grasp that he can make his own meals because you've made it very clear you will not continue to facilitate and enable this diet that is not working out for you, then that's a him problem that he needs to solve. It honestly does feel like you've been very clear with him about what was going to happen, how he needs to facilitate the meals himself, how you don't really have a problem with it, you just won't be continuing it. He's the one that's struggling to accept that reality, he's the one with the issue, and I don't know what to say about it, besides the fact that you're not the a-hole. In the comments, Haraden says, "Not the a-hole. His real complaint is that he's being excluded, which I suspect is actually a combination of resentment at having to cook for himself, and resentment that you're implicitly teaching your kid that the way he eats is bad. Like, look at what you wrote. He was only okay with things when you completely adopted his way of cooking. Even you making yourself healthy sides bothered him to the point where you stopped doing it. You've given him option after option after option in terms of compromises, but the only thing he actually wants is total capitulation to his preferences. You shouldn't feel bad about what you're doing, and certainly shouldn't give in to his pity party." I saw that too and was confused. Like, you aren't even allowed a side of steamed broccoli because it offends him? That sounds controlling. OP replies, "I think he hates me eating fancy stuff without him. Basically anything that's not plain, although apparently seeing me eat vegetables also grosses him out. Like for broccoli, I usually bake it, then toss it with some lemon, parmesan, salt, and pepper, or say spiced carrots and parsnips, which are also baked after being tossed with olive oil, salt, pepper, cumin, allspice, paprika, and chili powder." Oh my god, that sounds like heaven. He sees it as fancy, so it upsets him. So, you've got 2 children, is what I'm hearing. Like, he can't even see you eat vegetables? I don't care if he's the best lover on the planet. I truly wouldn't be able to sleep with someone who had such an infantile aversion. I know we're only hearing one example of this behavior, but this sub often makes me wonder why some people got married. Willow Cool 887 says, "You didn't give you or your husband's age, but I'm assuming from this that he's around 4 years old. In that case, it's okay for you to try to expand his palate, but kids are notoriously stubborn and picky eaters, and while that can be frustrating, you can't just let him go without food. As a small child, he depends on you to feed him, and it is borderline abusive not to prepare meals for him that he will eat." Oh, wait, what's that? This is a grown-ass man who is married and helped you produce another human being? Never mind then. As an adult human being, he is fully capable of at least trying one of the nice meals that you graciously cook for him, just like you tried for years to accommodate his tastes. In cooking his meals for him, mind you, to your own detriment. And whether he wants to try your cooking or not, he is also fully capable of obtaining meals for himself that he likes, either by cooking or by going through the drive-thru. But this garbage, where he basically says, "I refuse to try the things you cook because I don't like them, so please stop cooking those things I don't like, even though I don't know if I like them, in a way that I will like, though," is BS. Not the a-hole. And Recipesa79 says, "What a ridiculous question. Do you really need to ask if making healthy meals for you and your young daughter is an a-hole move? Obviously not the a-hole. Your husband is acting like a petulant child. He can either eat healthy meals that you make, or he can eat his artery-clogging unhealthy foods and watch you and your daughter eat nutritious meals and shut his mouth. As a dad, he should want his daughter to eat healthy meals. What is wrong with this guy?" Posted by user Niece Not For Me. Titled, Am I the a-hole for calling out my niece's excuse for wearing a thong around the house when she was staying over with us? My niece, 19, is staying with us for a few weeks while her parents figure out some family stuff. Typically, a 19-year-old would stay alone, but for good reason, her parents, my husband's sister and brother-in-law, don't trust her. I have two 22 and 17-year-old daughters, so I'm acutely aware of the kind of trouble girls get into at this age. After the first couple of days of being polite, I suppose, she started to push boundaries. She wore really low-riding jean shorts with an obvious thong sticking out, and I initially held my tongue. I would never let my daughters dress like that around the house. When she continued to do it, I said, and I quote, "Well, it's not my place to tell you what to wear outside. When you're with us, please make sure you're wearing something that covers up a little more," pointing to her back. I thought she'd listen, but she only redoubled her efforts and even said that she wears them because they're comfortable and told me to take a chill pill. I called her out and said we were all 20 years old once, and with two daughters, I can tell that no one thinks they're the most comfortable thing. You're wearing them to feel sexy, and that's great, but let's be respectful. Unfortunately, she took this the wrong way and blew up her parents' phone, telling me I was controlling and she wanted her parents to pay for a hotel room. They obviously refused. Now she's in her room the whole time and refuses to talk to me. Am I the a-hole here? And I'll note I didn't even call her out on her wearing obviously low-cut revealing tops and a lack of bra basically all the time because I figured I'd pick my battles. OP has offered the following explanation for why they think they might be the a-hole. I might be the a-hole because I called her out and made her embarrassed, but I think it came from a good place. That's absolute bullcrap. It did not come from a good place. And stop disillusioning yourself with the stupid notion that you think it came from a good place, because it's not. That was so toxic. You really sound like a snob, OP, and that doesn't come from a good place in my heart. That comes from a bad place. You sound like a terrible person. She's obviously got something going on in her life that she can't be with her parents right now, and instead of comforting her and letting her live her life at 19, wearing whatever she wants inside your house, you go and slut-shame her and drag her down. Oh, because in 2021 it's obviously shameful to wear no bra, revealing tops and a G-string, oh my god. It's just sacrilege when she does this around the house and no one else gets to see it but you. She's obviously looking for attention from all the boys that are constantly coming through the house, and oh my god, OP, what will we do? The devil is in that woman's mind. Get him out! Get him out right now, you need to save her! All of your thought processes here and everything you're judging her for is all poppycock. She's not just doing it to feel sexy, you can just do it to feel comfortable, or whatever you want to do in your own place because it's private, and why are you judging her? You really suck as a person, OP, and I hope you take that to heart. You're the a-hole. In the comments, Dramatic Scarcity says, "You're the a-hole. How is it 2021 and we still carry the dumb stereotype that thongs are trouble and only for when women want to feel sexy? Many, many women wear thongs because they're far more comfortable under tightish pants. They're practical and smart. And by the way, your niece is a woman. She's 19 years old. Get the hell out of her business." And edit, thanks so much for the rewards. I also want to add a response to a lot of the pushback on here. 1. Yes, the niece is an adult, and she can choose what she wears without being policed by anyone, including the person she's staying with, as long as she's covered. And she clearly is covered. She's wearing pants for goodness sakes. 2. It's fine to be uncomfortable with the top of someone's thong, but here's how you address it. Hey, your underwear's hanging out. Here's how you don't address it. Hey, I know you're 19 and want to feel sexy. We all did at that age, but wear some different underwear. Some of you guys really care about my house, my rules, and sure, OP should be free to live in a house where she doesn't have to see the top of someone's underwear if that's what she wants. My house, my rules is not an excuse to pass judgment on your guests though, or control what a guest wears. Again, as long as she's covered. And 3, people are saying that I and other commenters are missing the point. We aren't. We're just paying attention to a point that you don't care about. And that's okay. This is Am I the A-hole? Here's the point as we see it. OP made the entire issue about a judgment on women who wear thongs and projected that onto her guest as a way to address a much smaller issue. St. Alvis says, "You're the a-hole. Please stop sexualizing your niece. Also your daughters, but one thing at a time." Or one thong at a time. And MM172 says, "Everyone sucks here. Yeah, okay, it wouldn't kill her to stick to pants that cover her underwear, but frankly, you don't have the authority to let your 22-year-old decide what she wants to wear either. And while I don't understand how some women think thongs and low-rise jeans are more comfortable, I know they're out there. So maybe refrain from speculating on her motivations just because it's not your style?" G'day there guys, and that's the end of today's episode. I do hope you enjoyed it and were entertained by today's bloody good content. As always, I want to do a quick shout out and a thank you to all my channel members and Patreon subscribers. Your beautiful faces and names will be up on screen right now. Haven't forgot about you guys, sorry I was taking a little break there. So yeah, if you see yourself, give yourself a pat on the back. If you want to be on this screen, there's links down to the description below where you can sign up and help support the channel and all future projects that I'm going to be doing on this one. With all that said, I hope you guys have an amazing day, night, sleep, whatever you're up to. I'll see you in the next episode, and I do hope you enjoy it. Thank you.